TYFU.
Yeah, I've seen you already today in my store.
The jig is up.
A cute little surprise visit this morning. And,
Indeed. And I didn't even wear pants.
I don't
I
think,
had shorts on, okay?
sort of.
They were
Sort of short.
short.
I can't believe you show up around town like that.
I did, okay, not gonna lie, I did think about it, but
You were like, is this appropriate for Beth's very classy store? Or can I just wear my underwear in?
and I chose to wear my underwear in.
Well,
Everything was contained.
it was a cute look.
Thanks. Thanks.
Most of my customers were able to shop despite your outfit.
That's my
They were
aim.
able to keep their eye on the merchandise.
Yeah, like I like to keep it spicy for you, but not distracting for
my
the
customers.
So yes, we had a visit earlier.
And it was pleasant, but I guess we didn't get enough of each other. And here we are.
Hours later. With
You're
the
wearing
same
a
hairdo.
different outfit, though.
Yeah.
Different outfit. Because
But
you
we-
want me to be able to concentrate on the podcast.
That's right. But we do have the same hairdo, and Kelly Walker can barely tell us apart.
All right. So do you have any business besides talking about...
Our outfits
Yeah.
and the way we do our hair? No.
So actually, there is a little bit of business.
You're right. You're
Okay.
right.
I wanted to mention our ads
Yes. Have you guys
and
heard
our sponsors. Yes.
Oh.
Exciting new developments.
It's so exciting and feels very grown up
I know.
podcast.
All these milestones. Now we have sponsors. I'd like to thank our first two sponsors, Geneva BID and Anthony Road. And I wanted to mention that you and I are interested in getting more sponsors. Correct?
We certainly
Yes.
are. We certainly are. And if you feel like you might want to reach the people that listen to TYFU about your business,
They understand you.
they do. They really always do. Then you can reach out to us. Reach out to us at tyfupod.com and we can talk about what sponsoring TYFU would look like for your business.
It'll look fabulous.
It'll sound great.
Yeah, so just drop us a line if you're interested.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
TYFU comes to you from the beautiful Finger Lakes in upstate New York.
It's home to a great wine industry, and one of our favorites is Anthony Road Winery on Seneca Lake.
When you visit Anthony Road, you're visiting a true family business.
Ann and John Martini opened Anthony Road nearly 40 years ago.
Their children grew up with the business and are still part of it today.
Come visit and experience their hospitality for yourself.
Learn more at anthonyroadwine.com. All right. Are you ripping? You want me to rip?
You're ripping.
All right. Here we go. Here we go. And the topic this week is one that Marilla suggested this afternoon.
This afternoon. Yeah, this is
She
hot off the
texted
presses.
in all caps.
It's true. That was a mistake, though.
Marilla texted that we should talk about assumptions. And I think more specifically what you meant was incorrect assumptions that is it customers make or people in general make? What was in your mind? What was in your mind when you suggested
So
this?
my mind was racing with things to talk about, incorrect assumptions that customers make. Hate to throw you guys right under the bus, right out of the gate.
They've listened before.
But-
they know what they're in for.
You know what
They've
you're
signed
here
up
for.
it.
Incorrect assumptions that customers make. However, the more I thought about this and stewed about this, I thought of incorrect assumptions that my suppliers make, that my family makes, the list goes on.
What was the first thing that came to your mind?
Okay, so this might be coming in a little hot, but we're just going to jump right in. I started my first store almost 5 years ago, and then I opened my second store in Rochester, New York. For the most part, the majority of our customer base is super understanding. Many of them are small business owners themselves, and they they get what that means. But I have a handful of people that I have noticed that they see that I've opened the second business and they just assume that I have made it. Like I am Rockefeller, like gold dust at my feet on the sunny side of the street.
You're basically your Walmart and you're opening a location within 50 feet of every American.
Exactly. And I have the money to just throw out the window to do that.
Yes.
And like, I'm set. I did it. Which on one hand is very sweet. Like there's been some folks that are very, congratulatory, but there are others that are a little like, I don't know how to explain it, but like salty about it. Like now I'm part of the 1%. And I can't tell you how wrong that is.
She can't even buy clothes that cover her entire body, you guys.
Yeah, I can barely afford a shirt that goes past the girls, okay? So yeah, I just, in my mind, I can sense, and it's like this unspoken assumption in some senses where like I can sense that this is the vibe that I'm getting from the person, but I can't come right out and say like, yeah, actually, I make no money right now. Like not in a pitiful way.
It is a careful budgeting, strategic, fraught with peril move to open a second location.
Right.
But that's not how it looks from the outside.
Correct.
And it's important, truly, Marilla, that it not look that way from the outside, right? You never want to be like, I'm going to do this, but I'm really struggling, because you don't want necessarily like pity business. The minute a business looks weak, it's over. It's over.
Right. There's that temptation. And now I do share a lot with my customers, but it's a balance. And like lately I've been getting this vibe from a few customers, and I have countered with sharing a little bit about our slow days and sharing a little bit about the ups and downs, because, you think that it's just like goes without saying that we have slow days and good days and bad days, but I don't think that it does. And so anyway, I've just been experiencing a lot of that kind of assumption lately. And I feel like I have to like tell people how bad it is, but it's not bad. It's just a different season.
You got to have some kind of, I don't know. You want customers to understand. I want to dial it down from where I said the minute a business looks weak, it's over. I want to back.
Come on,
I want to back off that a little bit. But I do think that like, I don't know. I'm having a flashback to this moment during COVID where I decided to open by appointment only.
Appointment, right?
As I was trying to like have this balance between I'm still here and I'm still available, but we're making some changes because there's a global pandemic going on. And I had made the announcement that I was going to run by appointment, and this gentleman said, well, you might as well just throw in the towel then. You might as well just give up. He literally said, throw in the towel.
Throw in the towel. Great expression.
So I feel like it reminded me that if you start to look like you're losing ground, people almost give up on you before you give up on yourself, if that makes sense.
Right, exactly. Which is an assumption.
Yes.
That is incorrect. Like sometimes we make a decision to like reduce hours or
even
change.
If you had 2 locations and you go back to 1, it doesn't mean that you're going under, but people might perceive it that way.
And there's no way to fight that, but like it's been so funny to experience that in real time. And I have gotten so like weird about it. Yeah, it gets weird.
Yeah. Because you're sort of making assumptions too about what you think that they're thinking about you.
Hello, it's me, the hypocrite. Yeah, right. So it's a weird place to be in because I don't want to be that person, but at the same time, I'm picking up a little bit. So lately, that's been my vibe. That's been the vibe. And yeah.
Well, this did come up when I was thinking, after you capitalized text me assumptions.
Yes, shouty capitals. I shouted at you guys.
I was thinking,
via text.
okay, one assumption people make is that because you own a business that you're filthy rich. The other assumption people make, which is just on the same, that because you own a small business, you're destitute and you're pretty much
dirt poor.
Yes. And there's not a lot of middle ground I find in there, that people either just think that you're like, you live in a mansion or you live in a box. So
Right. And there's no in between. And navigating that in between, I don't know if it's just me, but I'm feeling like it's not, because I see some things on your list. So
don't copy my list. I'm going to hide that from you.
I'm not looking. I
imagine, though, our lists are pretty much the same as usual. But.
And right. I want to hear an assumption that you've navigated or experienced outside of, throwing in the towel before I just steamroll you with all my.
Oh, you got more?
Oh,
I
have a laundry list. I can't remember. I shouty capital. Like I shouted at you. I have a lot.
Okay. Well, the first thing that came to mind when you texted me loudly was, the name of my business, as most people listening may know, is Stomping Grounds.
Stomping Grounds.
Right.
Grounds. Let's play an association
Why is it named
game.
Stomping Grounds? Because when we opened, a lot of our product was locally sourced, and it celebrated the history and the culture of the Finger Lakes region. And my mother used to say my old stomping grounds all the time. So it was a phrase that was familiar to me. And I thought if I named the business Stomping Grounds, it would indicate that we reflect the history and the culture
Right.
of
And
the Finger Lakes region, not that we sell coffee.
Well, the joke's on you. Where's my
espresso?
caramel macchiato?
Yeah, I know. So I'm not exaggerating when I say several times a week people come in looking for coffee.
Still to this day.
To this day, yes. The
Stomping
employees
Grounds.
will.
Oh, we don't
speak
have
to
coffee.
this. We don't have coffee.
Now, wait a minute.
yes.
For one hot second a few
We sold
years ago,
coffee.
did you bend to the pressure?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
It's like we might as well sell coffee. It was when our second location, we had a lot of space there. So
Yeah.
I was like, well, let's just sell coffee.
Yeah, why not?
So now it's like, now that we've moved locations again and we let go of the coffee, it wasn't a great moneymaker for us. We don't have
interesting.
the space for it anymore.
Even with the assumptions, it wasn't a great mover.
Even when we had coffee, it
So-
wasn't a traditional coffee shop, so that threw people off. Anyway, this is too deep in the weeds, but people think that we're a coffee shop. I'm regularly disappointing them.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
they don't think that we're a coffee shop, they think that we are a winery, because we live in wine country. So they think we're a tasting room / winery because people are stomping grapes in
Oh, you
at
can't
41
win for
Seneca
losing.
Street, right?
It's grounds
I've had
or
people
stomping.
come in looking for the wine that we also don't sell.
Listen, I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to erase a myth here. I'm married to a winemaker, and I'm going
Yes.
to tell you right now, none of them
That's
are putting
funny.
their feet in your wine. None of them are stomping your wine.
Some of them do
No,
for like a
no.
weekend event or something. Like
Yeah, they throw that stuff out.
Oh, of course. Like no one's actually
Yeah,
drinking the
that's what I
feet
mean.
wine.
No one's drinking the foot wine.
No. But it might be a
technically you
fun
could.
get together.
Yeah, right. I'll come over and stomp wine with you.
Not at my store though.
No.
So then people confuse the phrase stomping grounds with the phrase stamping grounds, which are actually one and the same. If you Google that shit, which you can, yes.
No.
Stamping and stomping is basically the same thing. It's a regional thing. Do you say
Wow.
stomping grounds? Do you say stamping grounds? They might say stamping grounds someplace.
Wow.
And stomping grounds elsewhere.
We're gonna have to canvas the regions.
We could.
You seem exhausted by this assumption.
I am, because when people call it stamping grounds, they assume that we're a stamp store, Marilla.
Gosh.
This is my own personal struggle.
This is your own personal
these
hell
are the first
that you've
three things on
created.
my list. When you texted me assumptions, I'm like, coffee shop, wrote it down.
Stamps.
Winery tasting room, wrote it down.
Yeah.
Stomping grounds equals stamping grounds, stamp store, wrote it down. Now half
Amazing.
my list is gone now.
All right.
Thank you.
I feel like that was cathartic for you.
Oh, God. It's a journey. It's a 13-year journey through assumptions.
And I find in those moments, you now that my business is called Marilla's Mindful Supplies, people have no idea. They're like, is this yoga? And they're very confused when they see toilet paper.
So you can be
But
like,
when I was,
oh, what? We can't say that.
what?
Does
We
that
can't
just get,
say it.
that's gotta get
yeah,
bleeped.
that's all right. That's Kelly's problem, not mine. When we were our previous name, that shall not be named, we had people coming in constantly asking us if we were a trash pickup service.
That makes sense.
Yes.
I mean,
yes. So constantly people were coming in trying to get me to pick up their trash from the curb. And I had to explain that that is not what we did. And I caught myself wondering, gee, I wonder if I made the right decision in this name.
Sure. I mean, when you think Stomping Grounds, do you think, oh, obviously that is a store that sells books and picture frames?
I'm going to be honest. No.
No, right. And so like year 1, I'm like, I should rename the store. Year 5, I was like, I should really rename the store. Year 7, I'm like, I've got to rename the store.
Well,
And
boy,
I still
do I
think
have
about
a recommendation for you. You should almost get sued, so you have to rename your store.
I've thought about it.
No,
like, what
would
am I
not.
supposed to do? Like, in the region, we're well known at this point.
Right.
So it's
You're
too
a
late.
celebrity.
But it felt late year 1.
Yes.
It
Yes.
felt late when you had just opened and almost got sued for having your name.
Yeah, so I don't know. If you picked a name and people are making assumptions, it doesn't matter. Let them assump.
Are you sure that's good advice?
No. But this is not a podcast for advice.
No,
And it is not a podcast for business skills. I don't
Right.
know. That's not what we're here for. I recently was talking to my chiropractor, and he was saying that one of his mentors told him that no matter how much money he makes in his life, no matter how successful he becomes, never drive up to your practice in a new sports car.
Well, because that's gauche,
Right?
I think.
Right? That's the knee-jerk
Yeah.
reaction. But at the same time,
It looks like you're getting paid too much. Your customers see it and they're like, oh, I guess I'm paying for his
sports
fancy
car.
Yeah.
Right. And my mind was blown because it's so true that is like such a turnoff. And it doesn't have to be a sports car. Like our car bit the dust a couple of years ago.
Your personal car, you and Joe.
our personal car bit the dust a couple of years ago. We had to get something reliable, and we got, get ready for it, a Camry.
What?
Yeah, you
That
know.
sounds pretty.
And you know what I do in that Camry? Eat bonbons. We got a Camry, and it happened to be red. That was the
that's
one.
the thing.
Right. And
Yeah.
that was because that's what was available
That's
on the
what the
lot.
wealthy people drive is the red Camry.
And now I can't tell you how many times I have had someone say, oh, like when I pull up, oh, that's a nice car. And I feel immediately like apologetic. Like I have to make excuses for it. Like, oh no, it's not really. It's just a Camry. And it's just red because we had to pick it. And like, it's not a nice car. I can't afford a nice car. Like, because I feel like someone's making an assumption. And a couple months ago, I had someone ring up make a big purchase at my store. And when they went to pay for it, they made this joke about how, well, this is, here's your car payment. Beep.
Ooh.
And I thought that was gauche. I don't think they were trying to be rude.
Yeah, I don't know why that makes me feel uncomfortable.
Right? Because, I mean, logically, yeah, of course.
I mean, your store pays for your car,
yeah,
right?
like every purchase at my store. It's also my groceries and my, dentist appointment.
And your
my-
rent, yeah.
My rent and,
Yeah.
my vet bill or whatever it is. Like, of course it's going towards that, but it felt yucky. And the way they said it felt yucky, and it felt weird because I was very grateful for this person spending a lot in my store at that moment. But then that comment made it feel weird. Yeah. And it made it feel like there was an assumption there. It felt weird. So the car thing, when my car, to bring this long in the weeds story back, this is the episode of weeds. When my chiropractor said that, I was like, oh my God, that happens even
for the Camry.
Even for the Camry that we got because we were like, okay, if we take care of this, we can have it for 30 years and like give it to our kids. Okay. And
well, so here's the thing. As you were talking, I recently made a sensible car purchase.
Good for you.
Because I was told that my old car would not pass inspection. Right?
It happens. So, been there.
Because it's a 20-year-old car.
Because we drive them into the ground.
Yes, exactly. And so I was not super self-conscious about my car in any way. Like that, but now I'm feeling self-conscious about when people are making assumptions that you're either super rich or super poor.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, what if people around town saw the car and they had a great deal of pity for me? Like, oh, looks like Beth's hardly,
she's hardly scraping it over there at the coffee shop.
The stamps just start bringing in enough dollars for her to actually have a car that's not 20 years old and almost falling apart. Like, maybe that's a bad reflection on the business too.
Well, maybe we're just like in our heads about this, because I can relate to that. Like, one of our cars, of course, we had to replace the one, and it's red and it's a Camry. But our other car is this super ancient Subaru that like all the pipes are falling off the bottom.
I think it was the first year they made the Subaru. I've seen a new car.
It was like the dinosaurs went extinct and then they came out with the Subaru. Yeah, Outback. But I could feel myself being self-conscious at certain things, certain events, or certain meetings I had to go to, showing up in this car because I'm like, okay, are they going to be like, okay, does she really make any sales? Like, if she's driving this tin can and that she has to like use her little Fred Flintstone feet to make it go? I don't know. So, I mean, I guess you can't win for losing, but I think it brings it back to this topic that these assumptions exist, whichever side you're on.
Yeah, you and I are probably not going to change our cars and our buying strategies based on what customers think.
Oh, no.
But it is interesting, the assumptions that people make. I mean, I think the car is a great example of that. And
yeah,
I think even I, as a small business owner, if I drove up to the chiropractor and I saw some super, super expensive car, I think I might be a little put off by that too. Even though, who cares? God bless him if he's successful.
Okay,
buy whatever car you want to buy.
Here's what I want to talk about. Right, exactly. Okay. Because that's exactly right. I was having this conversation and talking about how, it's so unfair and blah, blah, blah. People are so mean.
People are jerks. Customers.
Then I realized I am the exact same way. Yeah. If I drove up, like you said, to the chiropractor and he pulled up in a mustard yellow Ferrari, I'd have a moment and be like, wow, okay. But here's where it feels crazy. Is when you start your business, everybody wants you to be successful and everybody wants it to work and everybody wants you to make it, but not too much.
That's so true. And
I'm guilty of that too. What is that, guys? I don't know where that...
No, we're going to have to do a whole, we're going to have a sociologist or something, or a psychologist on the show and be like, what is this class in America? Let's break that down real quick.
What's going on? Yeah.
It's very deep.
I am guilty of it, but I feel like it's a little tethering too, because it's like you and I want to be successful with our businesses. I would love to have a business that I could we did an episode on multi-generational. I'd love to have a business that did well enough that I could pass it on down the line, maybe.
Yeah, but also we're like, oh, Nepo babies.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And so there's like this war that's happening even in my own head.
Yes.
That's like, yeah. Because it's like, it's cool to be a small business owner, but like, ew, you franchised? Disgusting.
Second location. Oh, okay, Marilla.
Yeah.
You better watch yourself.
Yeah.
Before you get too classy and
Right.
start wearing whole shirts.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't worry. I'm staying humble and keeping my butt cheeks out. What else you got, Beth?
You're in customer service.
Most of the time.
It is your job to make your customer feel like you have nothing else to do but
Right.
to be of service to them.
Their priority.
It's a goal of mine, in fact, to not let a customer know that I'm distracted. But just because I don't look like I'm busy doesn't mean that there are not 10,000 things that are demanding my attention right now.
That one's hidden.
So the assumption is that because there's no other customers in the store, I must have nothing to do.
Yes.
Like people aren't aware, like I have ordering to do, I have shipping to do, I have emails to respond to. And so I strive to make it look like I have nothing else to do.
Right.
But then sometimes it gets under my skin a little bit when people presume that I just can spend all day chatting with them or, whatever
Or
it
that
happens
you're
to
so
be.
bored. Mm-hmm. Like lately, I've had a couple people come in and just comment on, be like, "Oh, it gets so boring in here." I'm sorry. First of all, I am exciting to myself.
Right.
Alone in the room.
I'm my own best friend.
I'm my own best friend. Me, myself, and I over here. But also, like you said, I'm not going to go down the list again. There's a million things that could be done in a day.
In fact,
and
that
usually
must be done.
Must be done. And usually I do not accomplish them. And sometimes I can't accomplish the thing that I'm supposed to be doing because you walked in.
Yes. Which, by the way, we're very grateful for and we're happy to help.
Please keep
It's
walking
like
in.
this is the thing, though. This is the balance.
Right.
It's not the customer's fault that we look entirely available to them.
Right.
That's how I strive to look.
Exactly. But yeah, it's funny because sometimes a customer will be like walking around and they'll be in the store for, 30 minutes and they'll be the only person in there. That's how life works sometimes. And then they'll be like, gee, you don't do much business, do you? Okay.
Right.
Get out.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Buy something.
Buy something, then get out.
Please buy a lot of things. Sometimes maybe it's the customer service in me, anticipate an assumption and then I get in my own head about it. So I have something coming up where I have to make a decision whether I'm going to do this thing or not. And something I'm thinking about is like, okay, well, if I do this, like, should I tell anyone that I'm doing this? Because what are people going to think if they know that I'm taking 2 days off to do something fun, like during a work week? Like, what's that going to look like? And my best friend in the whole wide world, other than you, Beth,
Kelly.
It was Kelly, said to me, like, you're in your head. Like, just do it. You work hard. Don't worry about it. Of course, someone's going to be making assumptions at all times. Of course, they're going to think you're a coffee shop, but just like, don't worry about it, which obviously that's the obvious advice here. But like, I get into like, turns out I'm the meanie after all, like in my own head.
Well, I mean, I don't think that's wrong. I mean, there's a lot of what you're saying that's true. People are always going to make assumptions, and half the time they're going to be wrong, and there's no controlling that. You have to live your life. You have to drive a red Camry, whatever it is.
I do.
You have to just make decisions that are best for you and not worry about
In
what
the moment,
people think.
right.
On the other hand, you are, in a sense, a public figure.
Right. We all are.
People... I mean, you want them talking about you. You want them talking about your business. You have an image to maintain. You are the brand. So you have to be somewhat aware of
the perceptions that exist.
Yes.
So yeah, it's tricky though when you, I don't know, maybe your dream is to buy a mustard yellow Ferrari and you feel kind of tied up in this business you've created that might have gotten you to a point where you can do that. But then you can't drive it to work. You can't use it for your commute.
There's other people, though. I mean, you and I are a certain type of person. I mean, we're similar in this way, I think, that we would judge the Ferrari.
We're two judgy bitches.
We do judge certain things. I think there are other people who would be attracted to be like, look, that's the most successful chiropractor in the Finger Licks
world,
or the whole world. And I definitely want to bring my business to them because clearly he knows. I assume it's a he. He knows, right? Because I'm making an assumption, right? Assume. Okay. Clearly he's very successful at his business, and he must know what he's doing, and therefore I want to give him my dollars, maybe even top dollar, because clearly he's worth it. I don't know. People think differently than you and I do.
That's totally true. Whereas, like, I think sometimes the scrapper, like you and I, look at that and they're like, well, does this massage really cost that much money if my, massage therapist can drive up in their Mustang? Whatever it is. Like, is this really the price of that it needs to be, or is this just a little gravy? Like,
as a business owner, we're constantly analyzing cost and value.
Right.
That's our job.
Yeah, we're constantly.
We can't stop doing it.
Yeah, it's a game for us. It's fun,
and it's a career.
It can also be toxic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. So this gentleman, again, you haven't corrected me. I think you might have used he as a pronoun, so I'm just going to roll with it.
I don't remember if my chiropractor is a woman or a man.
And it doesn't matter, of course.
It doesn't matter.
Well, I lost my point.
We're being mysterious.
If we don't want to out anybody on the podcast.
That's right.
Yeah, we're not talking about you.
The point is,
if he, she, or they want to drive a yellow Ferrari, then God bless them. They should.
Let them
and
live.
Drive it right up to the front door and take the best parking spot, unless there's people who are infirm who need it.
And you know what? Right. That's right.
It's a chiropractic office.
And you know. Yeah. Move over, Nancy. I get the prime real estate here. But you know what? Yeah. Like, let them live and maybe even say, hey, nice Ferrari. Good for you.
Well, maybe it's
you
an
worked hard.
inheritance. Maybe someone very near and dear to them died and said, I want you to do nothing with this money, but buy yourself whatever car you're dreaming of.
Or maybe it was their great-great-grandfather's yellow Ferrari.
Who knows?
Let's
not make any assumptions.
Exactly. Let us not assume, because we know that assuming, as my father used to say, makes an ass out of you.
And the chiropractor.
Yes.
Okay, so an assumption that people have, and we've talked about, here's some heavy hitters that we've kind of talked about on other episodes.
Yep.
The politics episode, we talked about how people assume that your politics are in line with theirs, no matter what their politics are. They assume that you guys are on the same team.
We're on the same page. Yeah.
Another thing that people assume that we've talked about in previous episodes is that because you're a small business, they are welcome to haggle in your store. That's another assumption that we see. For some reason, people tend to assume always that you're new in business, that you just opened.
Yes.
We've talked about that before. Like this is your first week.
Yes. Yes. Indeed. And now I'm like curious, again, the wheels are turning, and maybe this is going to come back in the greatest hits, but what are the assumptions that you get as a physical therapist, as a, I don't know, fishing guide, as a, what are the assumptions that are out there? Because I think, just like heard it a million times, there's probably very specific assumptions
in certain businesses, from business to business, that people get.
Yeah.
In this day and age, you can self-publish a book.
Ooh.
Anybody can basically get themselves a book.
Okay.
Which on one hand I love, because you no longer have to go through this arduous, ridiculous, gateways to getting a book published. You can basically type it up and get it sold on. There are some predatory small presses that say to people, we're going to help you publish your book. And then basically you're the next James Patterson, you know?
Right.
And here's how much you pay us. And then all you have to do is knock on the door of your local bookstore and they'll put it on their shelves and you will become the next James Patterson.
Sounds like a great deal.
So I get asked once a week, I would guess, certainly a handful of times a month, to carry this person's book, who they've self-published. There's no editor who's checked the spelling.
Right.
You know, there's no cover designer who has done any kind of
market research.
Right.
Focus groups.
Right. It's basically anybody can walk in and they have been promised by the publisher that I will take it.
You're just going to be chomping at the bit.
And not only will I take it, I'll give it a substantial section of my shelving and I will host
like
a book signing for them.
Yeah.
Right. And then they will be successful.
Right.
So I'm constantly navigating this presumption that these aspiring authors have that I'm the only thing standing between them and international success and millions of dollars.
You know, I have been thinking about taking up writing smutty romance. I mean, if you're the only thing standing in my way, I feel like we could make this happen.
It's sad to constantly be disappointing people. I'm pretty selective, as we've talked before on in the show. We both have to be selective about what books hit the shelves.
Or what soaps.
Yeah,
hit mine.
Sure, of course. You know? Do you have situations like this?
Almost exactly. I think anybody who's curating their goods could relate to that, because I very often have local makers that come in and they want to be in the shop, even if it doesn't make sense with what I sell. They want to be in the shop just because they're local. And I do have local makers featured, but it's really hard to say, okay, the local makers that I feature have really earned their spot, you know, quality, brand recognition wise, their marketing, their presentation, it's all there. And that's why it's on the shelf. Just like for you, a book is a very specific thing. And it has to make sense. It has to check all those boxes. It's not just because you're local and maybe my business is very low waste. Maybe somebody reuses their containers.
Yes.
And they're local. And so they're here wanting to sell a foot scrub, but maybe it's not maybe no one's asking me for a foot scrub. Maybe I don't think that'll work. So it's really hard. I hate those conversations where someone just comes in assuming that it's going to work out and then it doesn't make sense. Or even sometimes when you bring them in and sometimes I'll give them a shot.
Yeah. Let's try it.
Okay, let's give it a shot. Like, I'm not a meanie. Like, let's try this. And then it doesn't work.
Yes.
And you gotta have that hard conversation because there were assumptions made, and makes me feel yucky. Just having this conversation, and you and I are on the same page.
Yeah, I'll often take a copy or two to be polite if it's somebody super local,
right?
But then if it doesn't sell,
you can't.
It's not like I don't sell books,
right?
Like I sell enough books to know what goes and what doesn't.
Right.
Yeah, I'm still in business.
Right.
So
you are, but for how long?
I'm new.
Yeah.
So it's really hard. And then you are all of the sudden turning into like their brand manager.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right,
or they're
right.
Let's talk about market research.
Yeah.
And like you're educating, you don't have time to educate everybody on why their product is or isn't successful in this particular marketplace.
Yeah.
Yep. But I don't like being blamed when it isn't successful in my marketplace, when especially I've taken it on as a favor. It's kind of, I don't like that assumption that it's my fault.
Yep. That's
an ouchie one.
That's an ouchie one.
I'm going to bring one more.
All right. Bring it to the table.
That I have a public restroom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Yep. Yeah. And you don't.
I don't for lots and lots of reasons.
Yep. Same here.
No.
Authorized personnel only for the toilet
And
at
people
Beth's.
are be like, well, it's a public space. And I'm like,
cry
well,
me a
no,
river.
actually, I own the building.
Yeah, you know what?
privately.
In
You know what?
Italy, you got to pay 10 cents to use the toilet. Yeah, lots of places you
Marilla's
go.
very wealthy, and
Yeah.
that's how she knows what's going on. And
Yeah,
did I tell you guys she drives a Camry?
And I pay to use the bathroom. Yeah. That is a huge one. People just assume that, they can use your bathroom. And I can't tell you how many times I've been like, no, because it's actually like literally there's wet paint all over it. Or literally it's just not.
Yeah, I had a sewer pipe crack.
It's
no,
not
you can't
okay.
lose it, and you can't guilt
use
me about it.
You can't. Right. And then, of course, this is a classic that bears to be mentioned, although, again, we will probably dive deeper. There are those who, when you spend a lot of time with them and you laugh at their jokes and you make eye contact with them and you perhaps
Only wear half a shirt.
or perhaps have a winning smile and sparkling eyes. There are those who would assume that you are falling in love with them.
Yes, it has happened even to me. Yeah.
I think we have our fair share of disappointed potential lovers in.
I'm keeping them on the shelf personally.
Yeah, you keep them warm.
Not disappointed, just waiting.
Yeah, like I'm married, but you never know. 10 years down the road,
Anything could happen.
anything could happen. Yeah, no, yes. And it's like you can always tell, like, they come in like one too many times and get like one too many items that like don't make any sense. And I always appreciate those purchases, but I know that they are purchases of
Yeah.
assumptions of things that will never be.
Yeah.
The chemistry sometimes is assumed because we're so good at our
smiley.
jobs.
Yeah. And welcoming. And
Yeah.
I look like I have nothing else to do.
And you're beautiful and
I
glowing.
know. I can't help that part,
We
though.
can't.
That just comes free of charge.
There's nothing we can do, and we're sorry that we make it so hard for you guys.
Okay. I don't know if we can keep that part in, but
Oh, come on.
I'm afraid that our listeners are going to think that we're getting big heads just because so many people are in love with
Our
us.
listeners would never make assumptions like that.
All right. Anything else, Marilla? I mean, I feel like I really kind of like plowed over you on some of these. Do you feel that way?
No. I felt like I got them out of my system. I knew
Okay.
you would have some, and I was excited. And that's why I shouted at you earlier that we should talk about this, is because I knew you'd have some stories, and I knew we'd have a little something.
A full episode.
I knew we'd have a little something to chew on tonight. Some of the best feedback we receive at TYFU is from small business owners who say, "I'm glad to hear that I'm not alone."
In Geneva, small business owners are never alone.
The Geneva Business Improvement District is your partner.
BID works to increase foot traffic for downtown businesses with marketing and promotion.
BID also hosts events to draw customers and keeps downtown beautiful so they'll stay.
Want to learn more? Visit BID today at genevadowntown.com. All right. Well, are you ready to move into 5-star review land?
I was born ready. Let's do it.
I wish that right now I was eating dinner at Kindred Fair.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Yes. I was thinking the same thing. And because of that, I feel like
We should go.
we should just
right
go.
after we
All right,
record.
it's been nice, guys.
Well, I haven't been in a little while, but I can tell you that I do love it there.
I do too. And you know, Joe and I went for our anniversary dinner this year. And honestly, I could be misremembering, but I actually think that we've gone for a couple anniversary dinners and a couple birthday dinners there. And
Certainly we have to.
something that I love about Kindred Fair is they make you feel like it's a big deal that you're there for a birthday dinner. And it's a big deal that you're there for an anniversary. Like,
It's like they're aware you could choose someplace else.
Yeah.
But they really valued the fact that you chose them.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
Although
Although they're never short on patronage, right?
no,
it's always pretty busy there.
It's a busy place. You can sit indoors, you can sit outdoors. I absolutely love. This is going to sound like the most health food girl moment of my life, but I adore their kale salad. Have you had it?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. It's not like a boring kale salad. It's a cool girl kale salad. And if you go to Kindred Fair, you have to get the kale salad. It's delightful.
Okay, so I'm also going to recommend a vegetable.
Ooh, look at us. So healthy.
One time we ate at Kindred Fair and there was snow peas as on a side. I don't remember what the main
their
was.
specials.
Isn't it strange that what sticks out to me is the snow pea? Because I've never had a better cooked snow pea in my life than... This is years
that's what I
ago that I
love.
had these snow peas,
Yes.
and I
You're
still
still
remember
dreaming of
them.
them.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's really something. That
That's
says
what keeps
something.
you coming back, is hoping that one day you're going to walk in and the
There'll be snow peas on the menu
will be
again.
back. Ashley, Susie,
Okay, so friend of the podcast, Ashley.
Yes, a friend of the podcast, is an integral part of Kindred Fair. Ashley will hook you up if you call and make a reservation. A lot of times you'll talk to Ashley on the phone. She's charming. Or you'll talk to somebody that Ashley has trained up and they're charming. And yeah, she's a joy.
But it's always a good time. I've never been disappointed there.
Yeah, I actually love to go there. They're very consistent with their offerings, but they do great specials. I almost never order, except for the kale salad. I almost never order from the regular menu. I always am excited to look at their specials and their seasonal sides, like a snow pea. I had fiddlehead ferns there, I believe, last time, and they do great. They just do a great job, and you can see them making the food in the kitchen. One time,
You sat at the chef's counter.
I've never sat at the chef's counter, but one time I do remember they get really fresh seafood there, and I do remember walking in and they had this big fish hanging.
Oh Lord!
And they were just like chopping it up, which is not everyone's cup of tea, but I enjoyed that experience. It was kind of fun.
Yeah, so it made it feel special and interesting, right? Is that
Kindred is a special and interesting place, and for that reason,
5 stars.
5 stars. Let's go get some
Right now.
dinner, Beth.
We chat about the biz, it is the way it is. Thank you for understanding.
We sincerely thank you for understanding. Please visit us at tyfupod.com to learn more about the show, share prompt ideas, or tell us about your own small business experiences. We may include your story in a future episode. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube at tyfupod or at tyfupod.com. Our theme music was composed by Marilla Gonzalez. The show is produced by Kelly Walker. Too bad for Kelly Walker.
Yes, we are.
And we are we right now? Are we starting? Are we in fact? Have we in fact
Is
started?
this thing on? Tap, tap, tap.
Yeah. Okay. Ready?
Hi, Beth.
Hi, Marilla.
We're so natural.